back with part 2 of the resume formatting exercise. And the last thing we did was step 8, where we tabbed over some of our items, and now we're going to do some of the smaller areas here, or some of the more detailed areas. The first thing we're going to do is just this area that has the, and I'll show my PDF again, it's in italic and it has a tab here at the 1.75 that we already have set, and then there's an additional tab at 6 inches. Okay, so to go and do that, now you could tab this over. We are going to have to tab intern over, but if you did that, it would just put this at the next ½ inch. So what I'm going to do is just highlight this, and first of all put in italic, because that's what step 9 asks to do first. And I'm going to put in italic, and then I'm going to go to tabs. Now I'm going to go up here and open up my paragraph dialog box and go to tabs, and you can see when you go to tabs now there's already one here. This part down here is your list of existing tabs. Now to put a new tab in, you just have to type it up here where it's highlighted. So I'm going to go up here and just type 6. Now before you hit OK or set or anything, make sure it's going to be a right tab, because we're going to actually align it to the right side. So whatever stuff comes before it will move over to the left. So this will be a right tab. So I'm going to make sure I select right tab, no leader. I'm going to hit set, and when I hit set, notice it gets added to the list. So there's two tabs, one at 1.75, which is a left tab, and then one at 6 inches, which is a right tab. So I already set both of these. I don't have to hit set again. I'm just going to hit OK. And what that does is you can see it sets the tab up here. There's a right tab that's set at 6 inches, and there's a left tab up here that's actually set at 1.75, which we set initially. And we did have to insert a tab here, and then I think there already was a tab that I had in the text there, and it just bumps over to the next tab. So when you set tab stops, they jump right to that tab stop. When you don't set tabs, they go every ½ inch. Okay? All right, so now that was number 9, and I think we have everything done for number 9. Number 10 is the next 3 lines, and this is probably the trickiest part of the whole assignment. And we're not going to tab these over yet. We're actually going to highlight all this stuff here, and we're going to make it a bulleted list. Now to make it a bulleted list, there's a bulleted list option up here, and I'm just going to click on it. Now it'll just use like a default kind of setting. So when you first do this, it may look weird. You can see it's kind of odd. It's putting the bullet over here by default. It indents it like a ½ inch, and then the hanging indent is a ½ inch more. So it doesn't look right yet. So that's okay. So on the instructions I think I put it, it'll look a little messed up. So we put it in bulleted list. Now while this is still highlighted, what you're going to do is you're going to once again open the paragraph dialog box. And there's quicker ways to do it, but I want you to be familiar with using this. You're going to go in here, and where it says indentation in this dialog box, you're going to change the left indent, because right now it's at a ½ inch. You're going to actually make that, and you could highlight in here, put in 1.75. Okay. And then the other one, the hanging indent, should already be at a ½ inch. Okay, that means the hanging means it's going to hang a ½ inch away from where the indent is. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK, and you'll see what I mean. And this is what I mean. The left indent is actually at 1.75. There's no tab that pushes this over. It's actually indented at 1.75. And then the hanging indent makes everything hang a ½ inch over. So that means when the text wraps, it wraps around and it aligns under here, because you don't want your text wrapping under the bullet. It looks nicer if there's a space there. And we could put extra space in here if we want, but for now, that's okay. That's the way it should look, and that's the way number 10 should look. So if you have any problems with it, just go back into here and make sure this is 1.75. Make sure this says hanging at 0.25, and you don't have to put any extra tabs before it. Okay, I'll cancel out of that. Now moving on to number 11, we're almost done here. Moving on to number 11, actually I'm just going to do something here. I just want to show this line here goes a little long, and then there's just business customers. If you'd want to shorten that and put like end small down to the next line, you'd want to use a line break. If I just hit return, it would actually make another bullet. And if you've ever used PowerPoint or anything, you've probably had that happen, and it's frustrating. So I'm going to undo that by using Control Z. And what I am going to do is do Shift Return. Hold down your Shift key and hit Return. And you can see here's the little icon. That's called a line break, and that keeps it within the same paragraph, but it just breaks the line. So it keeps that bulleted list. It keeps it at part of the first bullet, and it just breaks the line for you. And that helps when we do any spacing work as well if you need to keep it in the same paragraph. So that's a line break, a shift return, and that's number 11. And you'll use that again on the last step too, at the bottom part. Okay, moving along, number 12, volunteer work at the bottom. And like I said, we don't want to put tabs here. All that we want to do is highlight this whole paragraph. Okay, and we're going to put a hanging indent so that when the text wraps, it aligns under here. And we're not going to do that with the tab key. What we're going to do is go into our paragraph dialog box launcher, and we're going to go where it says hang indent. Notice it doesn't say hanging, it just says special. And I'm going to choose hanging. And when I choose hanging, it automatically looks for a tab that's right there, and it's automatically going to use that 1.75 tab, and that's where it's going to hang the text. And if I hit OK, it works. And you can see what it does is it pulls that little bottom arrow over to make a hanging indent. If I click in here, you'll see the little bottom arrow this little arrow here is a 1/4 inch over from the left indent. And we'll talk more about that because I want you to be familiar with indents and hanging indents, but that's what we did here. We did a hanging indent. The reason this arrow is way out here is because the volunteer work has to go all the way to the margin of the page. So it's hanging 1.75 inches in so that this text can wrap here. And again, having life on one line like here, I know this text is kind of hokey down here, but having life on one line like this may not look as nice. That's why I mentioned also to do a shift return down here, because if you just hit return, it would jump down and it actually put an extra space before and actually moved back to the margin. So I'll undo that. You want to do a shift return so that it keeps within the same paragraph and it also aligns where the hanging indent is. Okay, so that was number 12. The last step here, 13 and 14, these are pretty easy. You're just making these things bold. That's all you're doing. That's easy. You highlight, you hit the B button. And all the things on the left side are bold, and the only other things that are bold are these like company names here. Computer sales, discount sales, we'll make bold. I'll scroll up here, I'll make Warren County Community College bold. The college name, and then I'll make this bold. And that's just to make them stand out a little bit more from the text that's next to it. And I think that's it. You could turn off your show hide if you want to see how it looks a little bit better. And that's about it. Now, we didn't put any extra bullets in here for now. I just wanted you to get familiar with the hanging indents of the bulleted list feature, which again, when you click in here, you can see the bulleted list is on. You can also put manual bullets in there if you need, but we'll deal with that later. So that's pretty much it. That's number 14 is just save it, and then you're done.